Hello, I'm Dave Speakman. Today I'm going to talk to you about the things that I keep in my guitar case. I'm going to break it down into 3 levels for you guys. So it's essentials, if you're a gigger, or if you're a professional like myself. Okay, let's get straight into it. So the case that I use is a mono M80. It's been a fantastic case. Don't be alarmed by how battered it looks. I've had it quite a long time and it goes absolutely everywhere with me. It gets a lot of use. So the most obvious thing that you need is a guitar. And I tend to keep a pick in my guitar, just wedged in the strings like that. This is a Gibson ES339. It's quite a versatile instrument. The second most important thing that you have is a cable. You need to have a cable with you at all times. These cables come from a company called Designer Cable. I'll put a link in the description. You can buy them on Amazon. They're pretty cool actually. I have my name. If you can see this, it's like a little name tag that goes on it that hopefully prevents any children, if you're teaching in schools or anything like that, if you're doing work like that, hopefully it stops people from stealing it, or at least if they do steal it, at least they know who they stole it from. The next most important thing that I would say to have is a guitar strap. Pretty self-explanatory really. After that, I would say that you need to have a spare pack of strings. I'm using D'Addarios. I've used D'Addarios for most of my life. I use 11 to 49s. I'll put a link in the description. They're the same strings that I've used for probably the last 20 years. The next most important thing to have with you is probably a pen or a pencil. Just something that if you need to write something down, you can. Simples really. And those are the essential things. Those are the 5 essential things that you need. Now, if you're a gigger, things change a little bit. You need a little bit more. Okay, if you're gigging, the next most important thing that you need is a second pack of strings. It sounds daft, but if you break 2 of the same strings and you're gigging, you're really in trouble if you've not got a second pack. You also need to have with you some spare picks. Now on the M80, there's these useful little pockets down here inside. And you can see that I've got several plectrums. The other thing that you need if you're gigging is a second cable. You need a spare of everything pretty much. If you're gigging, you need spares. The next thing that you need, and this is pretty important really, is earplugs. I was silly and gig without earplugs for a long time and hopefully I got away with it, but some people that I know haven't got away with it and they have serious hearing problems because they've not been using earplugs. I use these ACS earplugs and these came through a scheme through the Musicians Union. If you're a member of the Musicians Union, you can go through this scheme. I'll put a link in the description below. And it's basically, I think it's 30 quid. You pay your 30 quid and you get a hearing test and you get these earplugs. Now these earplugs I think they're about 180 quid if you wanted to buy them. So really, it's a good scheme. You should check that out. If you're gigging, make sure that you check this out. It's really important. The next thing that I would have with you, it sounds deathless, but I'd have some pegs. Pegs are so useful for just pegging things down essentially, but if you're on a reading gig and you need to peg your music down because the gig's outside, you've got a peg. I would definitely have pegs with you. So stepping it up to the professional level now, again, things get a little bit more serious now. I would probably have with you some tools. So I take a string winder, I have a pair of wire cutters, and I also have this really useful cruise tools. Where is it? There it is. And what this is actually is, it's all the screwdrivers and all the Allen keys that you need for your guitar. So if you have a problem with the setup of your guitar on the gig, you can sort it out. It's a very useful tool. The next thing that I would have with you is some business cards. These are my old business cards. I've got some new ones coming, but I'd have business cards. Even if it's not your band, if you're working for another band leader, ask the band leader for some business cards. People are always coming up to you at the end of the gig and asking you for cards. If you've got cards and you give out cards, you're more likely to get more work at the end of the day, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work. The next most important thing that I would have with me as a professional guitarist is a second guitar. This M80 is the dual guitar case, so it can carry 2 guitars, which is phenomenal. It's really heavy with 2 guitars in, but it's doable. So this is a Fender Stratocaster, and between the Stratocaster and the 339, I've covered most bases really for gigging. The last 2 things are controversial. Some people might disagree with me. You need an iPad. If you're working professionally these days, if you're doing function work, if you're doing lots of teaching, an iPad is essential really, because I have all the sheets that I need for my students on here. I also have all the charts for all the bands that I play in, all on here. So it's effectively like carrying a trailer full of books behind me all the time. They're all on my iPad ready to go. The last thing that I usually have with me is my in-ear monitors. These are Ultimate Ears ones. These are quite expensive ones. You don't need to get expensive ones, to be fair. Lots of people enjoy the Shure in-ear monitors. Lots of my friends have them and they speak really highly of them. I'm sure they're really good. These are phenomenal, but it depends on what you want to spend. There is one more thing that you need really, and that is, if you're gigging, you probably need a great big box full of lots of other stuff as well. So in here I've got everything else that you're probably going to list in the description below saying that I missed out. I've got a spare tuner, I've got all sorts of other things, and I do actually keep lots of other useful things in my case which I can show you now, which will be quite useful. I have a little guitar tuner, the little TC electronic one. I have a charger for my phone, I have a charger for my iPad. I have a couple of little audio cables, so I have 2 3.5mm jack leads, and then this little adapter which adapts it to RCA, which means that if somebody's forgotten to bring a cable from going to a laptop to the mixing desk, I've got one which has been helpful to people more than once. I also keep a capo. This capo is not great really, but what's good about it is that it's tiny, so it fits in my guitar case. And I keep some spare pens. So thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in what I'm doing, please do subscribe and hit the alarm bell. I've got lots more things coming, so yeah, thanks for your interest. It's been brilliant. Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.